In this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of critical thinking skills. Why is it important to have critical thinking skills? When you have critical thinking skills, you don't believe everything that you see on the web. You don't believe everything that you read in the newspapers. And so in order to have critical thinking skills, the first thing you have to do is you have to question what you read. You have to evaluate the sources of what you see so that you know fact from fiction. So when conducting research for an academic paper, critical thinking involves evaluating the credibility of sources. This means accessing the author's qualifications, the publication reputation, and the source's objectivity. Critical thinkers ask questions like, is the author an expert in the field? Is the source peer-reviewed? Is there any bias evident in the source? So a critical thinker evaluates carefully what he or she reads and does not believe not everything that he or she reads. And so one of the basic tenets of critical thinking is to think critically and question what you see. Detecting bias. Critical thinking helps students and researchers identify bias in sources. It is important to recognize when a source is presenting information in a way that is intentionally one-sided or misleading. Critical thinkers are more likely to spot slanted language, selective use of data, or emotionally charged rhetoric. Cross-referencing information. Critical thinkers cross-reference information from multiple sources. This practice helps verify the accuracy of information and ensures that a claim is supported by a consensus of reliable sources. So cross-referencing information is a key strategy of avoiding misinformation and fake news. So if you read an outrageous article or you see an outrageous headline, you should always cross-reference it to see if any other news source has mentioned that same headline. So always double check what you read. Don't just instantly share what you read on social media. So always cross-reference what you read. Question everything. Assessing methodology. In academic research, critical thinking involves scrutinizing the methodology used in studies and experiments. Researchers should ask whether the methods are sound and whether the data collection was unbiased. This ensures that the research findings are reliable and valid. Identifying fallacies. Critical thinkers are adept at spotting logical fallacies in arguments. This skill helps students and academics engage in debates and discussions effectively. When encountering flawed reason, they can point it out and strengthen their own arguments. Knowing fact from fiction. Distinguishing fact from fiction. In an academic context, distinguishing between fact and fiction is essential. Critical thinkers are capable of differentiating objective, verifiable facts from subjective opinions, which is crucial when constructing evidence-based arguments. Questioning assumptions. Critical thinkers challenge assumptions, underlying theories and hypotheses. By questioning assumptions, researchers can refine their research questions and develop deeper insights into their chosen topic. So always question what you read. Analyzing statistical data. Critical thinking involves the ability to analyze statistical data critically. Researchers should assess whether statistical evidence is presented accurately, whether sample sizes are representative, and whether statistical significance is adequately explained. So be able to analyze data and tell if the data is misleading or not by looking at the sampling. And make sure that the larger the sample, the more valid the data. Using APA correctly to avoid plagiarism. Avoiding plagiarism. Critical thinkers understand the importance of proper citation and avoiding plagiarism. They attribute ideas and sources appropriately, ensuring the integrity of their academic work. cautious social media. This means that we don't believe everything we read on social media. So in the digital age, critical thinking extends to social media. Critical thinkers approach online content with skepticism, checking the credibility of information shared on platforms and being aware of the potential for misinformation and echo chambers. So don't always believe what you read in social media. How can we evaluate sources? Use CAPOW to tell real news from fake news. The C in CAPOW stands for currency. So always make sure that the article you're reading is within 10 years of age. If the article is older than 10 years, then that article is obsolete and too old. So check the data. Consider how recent the information is. Depending on your research topic, you may require the most up-to-date sources. Some subjects change rapidly, while others may allow for older sources. Consider relevance. Assess whether the publication date is suitable for your research. Is it important that your source is current, or can you use older information for historical context? For instance, if I'm reading a Shakespeare play, Shakespeare in 1965 is the same as Shakespeare in 1985. It's the same Shakespeare as 2005. However, if I'm going to talk about the latest developments in artificial intelligence, then it's important that whatever you're reading is current because technology changes really fast. So the C in CAPOW stands for currency. The A in CAPOW stands for authority. You want to make sure that whomever wrote that article is an expert. Authorship. Investigate the author's credentials. Are they expert? Are they a specialist in the field relevant to your research? Look for academic degrees, institutional affiliations, or professional experience. Publication source. Examine the source of publication. Is it a reputable journal? Is it from an academic institution? Is it a well-established organization? Scholarly journals and respected institutions often indicate higher authority. P. The P in CAPOW stands for purpose. So what's the purpose of the article? Is the article an advertisement? If it's an advertisement, then we know not to believe in it because advertisers exaggerate the truth to get you to buy their product. So the P in CAPOW means purpose. You want to make sure that it's educational. You want to make sure that it's neutral. So P in CAPOW stands for purpose. Identify the purpose of the article. Determine the purpose of the source. Is it meant to inform, persuade, entertain, or sell a product? Be cautious of sources with a clear bias or commercial agenda. Consider scholarly versus popular. Differentiate between scholarly and popular sources. Scholarly articles are typically peer-reviewed and intended for academic audiences, while popular sources are designed for a general audience. So for instance, Wikipedia is considered a popular source. National Enquirer, at the grocery store, all those magazines are all popular sources. So a scholarly source is anything you get from a database in your library, online library, or anything from Google Scholar. The W in CAPOW, and that's the last letter we're going to, it should be an O. Okay, there's an O missing. Okay, anyway, the W in CAPOW stands for writing, as in writing style. Is the writing style professional, or does it have a lot of mistakes? So writing style, clarity and coherence. So assess the writing style for clarity and coherence. Quality sources are well written, organized, and free of grammatical errors. Citations and references. Look for proper citations and references. Reputable sources provide citations to support their claims, allowing you to verify information. And so the reason why Wikipedia is not a reliable source is because Wikipedia lacks APA in-text citations. The O in CAPOW stands for objectivity. So you want a source that's non-biased and neutral. Evaluate the source for bias or impartiality. Does the author or organization have a vested interest that could influence the information presented? Look for balanced and objective reporting. So most news stations these days are all biased. So if you go to CNN News, NBC News, any of those news stations, all of them support Biden and they do not support Trump. If you to go to Fox News, then Fox News, they support Trump, but they don't support Biden. If you truly want an unbiased news source, you should go to allsides.com. So let me repeat that, allsides.com. And so at allsides.com, they give you the news and they evaluate both sides. They talk about both sides of the issue. So for instance, I would say that Biden is a good president and Trump is a good president. In other words, or I would say Biden is a good president and he makes mistakes. And Trump is a good president and he makes mistakes. In other words, I don't take sides. Basically, objectivity means you don't take sides on the issue and you just talk about both sides of the issue equally. And so that's why you have to check the source from multiple perspectives. If your source has multiple perspectives and counter arguments that address opposing viewpoints, then whatever it is you're reading or writing is objective and credible and therefore believable. If the source only talks about one side of the issue without addressing the other, then your source is biased. So check if the source considers multiple perspectives or counter arguments. High quality sources often acknowledge and address opposing viewpoints. And so in English 101, we just study how to write a persuasive essay, and we also learn APA. Then when you take English 105, you're going to learn more about how to write a counter-argument paragraph, how to address opposing viewpoints, and how to make your own writing objective. And then when you do that, it will lend credibility to your writing. So by applying the CAPOW criteria, you can effectively evaluate sources to ensure that they are credible, reliable, and suitable for your research. In academia, critical thinking is not only a skill, but a fundamental mindset that ensures rigorous research, quality academic writing, and the ability to tell reliable information from unreliable sources. And so critical thinking plays a critical role in the pursuit of knowledge and scholarly excellence. In other words, you don't believe everything that you see and read, question everything. Evaluate your sources using CAPOW so that you're not taken, so that you can avoid fake news and avoid misinformation. Because one of the major tenets of having critical thinking is to think critically and to be skeptical and to question everything. That way you won't be taken. So if you have any questions about this, you could tell that I was having fun with the font things. Anyway, so if you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime.